How you doing, fellas?
Fantastic.
Doing good.
Good.
Doing good.
Good.
Big time, Pat.
Yeah.
God. every time. I realized that the audio just came back on, so for all of you just joining, welcome to the Patch Notes.
Run it back.
It's OB42. I introduced everybody.
Welcome to the realm.
Welcome to the realm. My name is Rain Day. I'll be your host for the Patch Notes. Alongside here, having hi-rez, pretty hair, our esports man. We've got Rory Newbrow, Dry Bear, the lead designer of Paladins, and of course hi-rez Holt, Thomas Holt, the lead art director for Paladins. They'll all be joining with us. And of course, how are you all doing today?
Swell.
Doing good.
Better.
Good.
We had a chance to think of better adjectives now.
If I hear dandy one more time.
Very dandy.
So we've got a lot going
Spry
on
like
for
a
OB42. We're very excited. There's so much to get into. I know you all are excited, as excited as we are. So let's get into it right away. Obviously, there are a couple of new purchasable in-game content additions that we'll have coming in OB42. And the first one being something for Viktor.
Yes.
Thomas, talk to us about what's going on for Viktor.
Yeah, so we've got the Code Green collection coming in, and we teased this a little bit at HR Rex. I've been very, very excited about it. You can see the promo art on your screen now. This collection's awesome. It's 4 heads, 4 bodies, 4 weapons.
Dang. 4 heads?
Yes, 4 heads.
4 heads.
4
heads.
different head attachment pieces that you
for
can
some
switch
reason, I
inside.
picked up on that somehow. I don't know what it was.
Oh, 4 heads?
4 heads.
I don't know.
Four heads
Yeah.
stuck out to me.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, Driver.
Oh, God. so a lot of ways to customize your Viktor play and looks in this. In addition, he's got an emote that is insanely good. Can't wait to show you guys that. We got 2 sprays with this one. As far as in it as well, along with some MVP poses. So it's a great collection.
Those are the sprays.
So there's a ton of stuff in this chest, Thomas.
Yes.
It seems like, and Rory, you can elaborate on
there
this.
it is.
Yeah, there's the mode. So
Emote's so cool.
Oh, so
and obviously, it's one of those things that, because Paladins is so fun and lighthearted, it's something that the artists kind of came up with, and they did an awesome job delivering on. So that's just the emote there, and you'll see that, kind of turn him into that. Because he is our quintessential soldier character, kind of turning him into that. So you'll see some combinations there. And actually, a lot of these guns end up becoming a little bit more kind of realistic and kind of militaristic when you play with them. So it's actually really exciting to see those hop in. And when you're playing Victory, when you go into iron sights, there's some cool things there. But similar to the genie for Ying, you have a lot of different customization options. You can kind of switch it around if you like the bill cap, or my favorite one is the helmet that goes over the eyes. There's one where you kind of just derps around with that. It's pretty cool. And it comes with a voice pack as well, so you want to kind of pick that one up.
That was, to me, one of the most interesting parts. And what I look forward to now in chess the most is the smaller customization items you don't see. There's the big feature items. Obviously he's green. He's the green soldier. It's really cool. But then you got all the different hats. With the Ying Genie one, you had the feather, which everybody loves. Clearly, you got to go feather, guys. Feather is the way to go. But with this, I love the ability for that. The added emotes, the added sprays, the poses. The customization is getting deeper and deeper. It's a really great job on that chest. I'm sure people will be excited to pick that up. How much is that going to cost coming out? You guys know?
Same as the genie chest.
Okay, 100 for chest?
Yep.
Awesome. So make sure to pick that up when that comes forward in OB42. Now, we don't just have stuff for Viktor. A lot of you are going to find that the furry friends get some love this time around as well. The Vulpine will be getting a new weapon skin in honor of Chinese New Year.
That's right.
it is. Do you know what year it is?
Year of the chicken?
The rooster. Yes,
Oh, the
chicken
rooster.
rooster.
Okay.
In that same
Similar
way.
enough.
So this is something we haven't done with the weapons before. It is a beautiful weapon to begin with. You can see some in-work promo art on your screen now. There's a few little changes to the weapon. It'll actually have some wording on it in Chinese, for good fortune for the new year. But one thing we haven't done yet is change Pip's chicken. He's been in our ads, he's been in our videos, he's been in all this other stuff. And one of the benefits that you get in this is when
nice shots. Come on, cameraman. Get your game.
So this time we did update it for the new year. So in celebration of the new Chinese year, you will see a bunch of roosters running around.
Killing spree.
And we have the video footage. This is live footage right now. What you're seeing is not pre-recorded. It's not an aimbot. This is like live, if you didn't realize that.
It's definitely not an
aimbot. So we can see the rooster coming forward now.
Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
Little rooster.
Look at the dance.
And the cool thing, too, is this will be an epic skin, so obviously we'll have kind of visual effects upgrades for it. So if you actually get a little bit close to the explosion here, if you shoot to the ground near you, you'll see that there is a little bit of confetti and fireworks on the normal weapon fire.
Noise.
So there's the little rooster thing. But if you kind of shoot near him, we're going to see the explosion. You'll see some effects coming out of the normal weapon fire on the weapon, not the ultimate. On the normal weapon fire.
Give us a left click, mate.
You'll see a little bit on the ultimate too. He's going to explode, but even then, you see a little bit of fireworks.
yeah,
confetti
a little bit
coming out.
more of festive.
Actually, for Pip, every shot is a celebration.
That's true.
Can I ask, this is really cool. This is the first of its kind, as you mentioned, in Paladins. Do we expect to see some more of this coming forward in the future?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Tons more.
Any
Lots.
leaks? Lots?
Lots.
Who's
Lots.
next?
Lots.
It'll be the best thing ever.
The best thing ever.
It'll be great.
All right.
No, again.
I know. They're the worst. They're the worst. Let's move on because they're not giving us anything. I'm trying to get the leaks for you. I'm trying to do it. Speaking of leaks, we've known that OB42 was the time that a new champion would be entering into the realm. And of course, there's been a lot of conversation. A lot of you have already heard the name Torvald, and some of you have even seen the outline. But it's pretty about time, I think, to start taking a look at the actual new champion coming into the realm for OB42, and that would be Torvald.
Torvald. So we got a lot of feedback, and again, I got to give a big shout out to the community. You guys have been very vocal and have some really interesting insights, and it helps drive us to create better content every day and also help us to kind of help steer the game. And obviously, a new frontline was something that was highly requested.
New tank.
We started on it and wanted to get this out here. And also, we wanted to have a different kind of take on the frontline role because obviously, you know, when you look at Makoa, Fernando, Barrick, they have very similar kinds of ways of accomplishing that front line. So you want to kind of have a contrast point there. So what we did with Torvald is we actually gave him a personal shield, but also the ability to project shields on allies. So he is more of, rather than deployed shield or having a barrier in the front.
Hold up, Blake! Hold on, dude! Hold on!
Slow down, man! The cameraman's gone rogue! So you'll see right off the bat, if you look at his cursor there, to the left is reticle.
Yeah, let's...
You'll see a bar there. So that bar is actually his personal shield. It is permanent. It is always on. However, it will drain, and it doesn't regenerate naturally. So if you look down in the left-hand corner, you'll see that he has his health bar, but also a lot of shield health there. You'll see the shield health in blue. That'll start to drain and go down and down. And when you see him, he will have a bubble on him at all times. But once the shield is gone, it's gone. Now, it is still sitting there at 0. You see it broke there.
Right.
And he has ways to kind of get that back. So the number one way he does that is by using his right click, just because it's so core to the character. We'll do it in a little bit of different order here. The right click is called recharge. So when you start the right click, he'll start channeling in, and I love that animation. I love the visual effects that come out of that, and that strong runic gauntlet. But he will then recharge a certain amount of his shield, and through cards, he'll moderate that and kind of build that up. But it's more about protecting himself and holding that front line as a singular. So you see that even after 2 charges, he's still not full. So it takes a while to kind of get that. So a lot of intelligent play required to keep that shield health high. However, one of the coolest parts about this character, and one of the things we wanted to bring forward with the frontline role, specifically to allow you to build more team compositions that weren't as linear, right? Where you just, oh, I need a front line, right?
Right.
If he's ever looking at an enemy shield and recharges, he will drain the health of that shield and charge his own shield at over twice the rate. So he damages the enemy shield, he'll siphon the shield health out of it,
he takes
and
the
then
shield.
he'll charge it. He'll take it and recharge his shield faster. So if you ever go up against a Fernando or a Makoa, they put out the shield, he'll use that opportunity to just suck the life out of that shield and make himself stronger.
Wow. So this is what you would say maybe a counter to some shields. Potentially.
He's got some pulls there. Now, obviously, with that, he's able to kind of fit in a different way. He can be used with other tanks, used by himself, but picked in a way that is different for frontliners and maybe allows certain characters, maybe like Tyra, to start coming into the game and kind of building that up. His Q, which again, sticking on the theme of shields, which is also very important for him.
Can we go maybe somewhere else where... well, actually, this is a good spot to see Fernando, just in case. I'm sorry that the noise for the bots is killing me here. But this is a good place to show your shield. Continue.
There it is. I can break it up. So the Q for him is a projected shield onto an ally. You'll see the kind of brackets appear with the button there. Very similar to Tyra's functionality. But basically, he'll be able to put a very, very short duration, high HP shield on a target. This is great. And actually, he's very good played with like an enemy Makoa comp.
Sure.
Person gets hooked, you bubble them immediately, you save that. It's only 2 seconds. So even if you don't blow the shield up, it goes away pretty quickly. We didn't want to make sure that he wasn't creating a super tank meta. We want to make sure that he's good against that. So he'll bubble a person, it'll go there, and he'll save someone there. And that kind of plays into that and allows him to sit in the fight and actually help teammates out. He's actually very good in combination with Maldamba. They're kind of a match made in heaven there. Then let's go over to the main hand weapon. Very important here. You'll see this kind of thick runic gauntlet. The art team is just blown out of the park. It looks so great. It feels good. You see him kind of all the motions, the stones there. So he will be able to lock on to an enemy and start channeling this beam. He can look around. As long as it's locked on, it'll still stay there. So you can look off to the side while it's channeling, it'll deal damage.
It's got a little bit of range there.
A little bit of range. It'll snap at a certain distance, so he has to kind of get close to people. If you know, while he's channeling, he slows himself a bit, just like Fernando. So if he's bullying you too much, you just turn around and run. You'll be able to get away from that.
Yep.
So really, it's more about single target there. So we'll be able to charge that up and then deal damage that way. His F ability is a very, very short-range blast. We actually haven't done this before in Paladins. It's something to fit with him being more of a frontline presence that isn't doing other things, right? So he'll shoot out this blast in front of him. It will explode in the air, and it will apply a 1.5-second silence and disarm. So, and if you look straight up or look like you look next to each other when you shoot it, it'll blow it up right in front of you. It's an air blast. It doesn't go very far. You can't snipe anyone with it. But basically what it'll do is it'll give a very small window where someone can't shoot your teammates, someone can't use an ability to attack you. So, you know, let's say Eevee's attacking one of your squishies, you bubble the squishy, you disarm Eevee for a short 1.5 seconds, and now you just save the day and you can reset the fight in a very interesting way. And actually, if you get the angle just right, you can shoot the blast over Fernando's shield and silence him to disable the shield from coming up. So he's very good at stopping channeled abilities, disrupting the fight in that way. He doesn't have the same presence that, say, a Fernando Mercoa would have, and a lot of times if he is standing on the front line too long, he ends up having to move around. So he plays very differently from that aspect. And then the creme de la creme here is the ultimate. And this is something that we've been dying to get into the game. Ultimates that aren't as, you know, push a button, kill a bunch of people, or push a button and change the fight. This is a really heavy channeled beam that applies a really big knockback.
We got to go to the sky hallway for this, just a little.
Definitely.
Just go to the sky hallway.
So you'll activate Hyper Beam.
This is the hypest thing I think I may have ever seen in Paladins. I'm gonna throw that out there.
Actually, get behind them. We should get behind them and shoot them out.
Okay.
So he'll shoot a lined beam, and while it's channeling, anyone caught in the beam will be repeatedly knocked back. So you can actually guide people
like a
off
small
the
way,
cliff.
like a little bit. It's like a short.
No,
knockback?
it's well, let's try it.
It's working. It's working.
Well, so if you look around there and kind of hit different people, you can actually blast them all around, do some damage there. It's a very small amount of damage. It does almost, you know, it's negligible. It's not really built for damage.
And you can
just keep following them. Yep, and you keep hitting them and painting. He's a bit of a painter, so you can see that knock around. And actually, so if someone's on the point or someone is near a cliffside, you start knocking them back. And if he gets a really good hallway line, he can't move. It's just like Ruckus. He can't move. He kind of stutter steps a little bit while he's doing it. But it's really great for getting people off the point. It will travel through shields. So if there's a death ball coming up and then you can't get them to stack up or get away, he'll pop this ultimate and spread the whole death ball out. He'll scatter one into the wind and be able to reposition that way. So it's a very utilitarian ultimate.
Right.
It's a short duration, but when used properly, it's incredibly powerful.
Seems like positioning is going to be very important with this champion as well. One of the things that Nick and I were discovering also about Torvald when we were playing him a little earlier was the lack of CC immunity on there. That was a purposeful design decision. So, in fact, Mercoa can actually hook Torvald out of this ult. Maldamba can stun him out of this if Torvald's positioning isn't great.
Well, if you catch him before he aims his giant beam at you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really difficult. If he hits you once, you go flying, right? So that's kind of the trade-off, is that the positioning is really important, the timing is really important. But, you know, actually, it's pretty funny. If Mercoa gets you in time, he'll hook Torvald, but then they'll both go flying because Torvald's still knocking him. So then just go off the cliff together in a very sweet romance.
It's poetic, really.
Yeah, it is. Mercoa is definitely one of the champions that if you're looking at this and saying, "Oh my God, how do I deal with this?" There is definitely built-in counters to Torvald. Yet he's going to bring so much. You talked about not only just the dredge anchor scenario, Nick. I mean, you play a ton of Mercoa, being able to bubble somebody who gets pulled or silence Makoa before he can hit that dredge anchor shot for the bonus damage, that's got to make a huge impact.
Yeah, Makoa is at kind of the top of the draft right now. He's in a really good spot, very strong in the professional competitive scene overall, and this is a good answer that there just really isn't in the game right now. So he's filling a good niche, but it's not as if Makoa doesn't have answers to Torvald as well.
CC immunity on the ult. There's a lot of amazing things. Let's move it over to not just what the character does, but how the character was created. Because for me, when I look at this, Thomas, I see this being what Paladins is. This looks like the fantastical, whimsical, wizard that I would always expect to see this game when I log on. And now he's finally here. What was it like kind of designing and concepting Torvald from an art perspective?
Yeah, so this character that our team's very excited about. Like you said, we think that he's direct to what Paladins is and to the tone of the game that we have. So I don't know if you could tell in game, but he is a giant elf. He goes eye to eye with Fernando. He definitely represents himself well as far as being front line and being able to kind of hold in. But at the end of the day, he's a geek. You know, he's excited. He's overly excited for magic. One of the points of reference is like Doc Brown from like Back to the Future, or Haggard when he's talking about his pets in Harry Potter. And we really wanted to get that personality and that character into him. And so with him, he's been traveling around, spent centuries, about his magic and figuring out these runes and these different kind of sigils. And he's put together this relic. So this stone glove that he has, this gauntlet that he's wearing, he's put together. It has some malfunctions. It's kind of fallen apart. You can tell, actually one of the things the animation team's done is for his ammo count, so that you get a general understanding as it goes. It's actually falling apart. The stones kind of float up and kind of go away from it. There's a lot of interaction with this. The weapon team, the character team, animation team, rigging, a lot of people went in. It's probably one of our most detailed weapons that we've done to date for this thing. And with those relics, with those runes, is how he controls his magic, and it's something that he's just super, super, super excited about. And then speaking of animations, I do want to make sure. Oh yeah, okay, you got it on screen right now. These emotes are amazing. So he's got
so good.
Can you play that one again? Yeah, the handicopter is often he basically gets a little drone from his floating stone hand, and then can you play the other one? And this gives you a little insight into his personality. Where there's a little bit of humor to them. So
very meaningful decisions there.
Yeah, so he's a little bit older than our usual champions, but but he's big, he's impressive, and he has a huge personality. So which is really what we want to bring into the realm.
And these are obviously in chess, correct? To be able to pick these up.
Yep.
These emotes are amazing. And does he come with, like most of the champions, some customizable, different variations in the skins, some recolors, different looks? What colors does he come with?
Yeah, he's got 3 basic recolors, just like all our champions, and so 2 of those you can buy direct, and I believe one of those is in the chest.
Fantastic. Well, Torvald, he's here. If you're not excited about that, I don't know what's going to get you excited, ladies and gentlemen. I am just blown away. Torvald, he's a blast to play. I've actually played him. I cannot wait for you all to experience it as well. A lot of intricacies in this champion, and just a lovely, I think, demonstration of how far all of the teams have come in Paladins, from art to sound to design to concepting, and putting out these really great things to play with. That's what I like in games. And so moving forward, we've got actually one of my favorite times. We're gonna let Thomas and Drybear take a break. I'm gonna bring in my boy here, hi-rez Pretty Hair. And we're gonna talk a little bit. We're gonna have a discussion, my man, us esports bros, to one another about balance.
Yeah.
There's going to be some balance changes. If you haven't known, obviously we have balance changes every patch. This patch, a lot of interesting changes. And, of course, starting off with it, Nick, the items are going to be seeing a bit of an adjustment as well. First of all, aggression.
Yep. So aggression is temporarily removed from the game. Not forever, but just for the time being. It's important to get it kind of figured out, because it's not really hitting the mark, I don't think, as terms of it was just raw damage. That's always nice to have, but it was a little bit of a new player trap because, it's more expensive than some of the defense cards that provide more value. So I don't anticipate that it'll come back the same, but while it's being figured out, while it's gone off to college, it's figuring out what it wants to major in.
It's in its early
really
20s, early mid-20s.
Aggression needs to figure out who he is, and so he's gonna go away for a minute.
He's working a 9 to 5. Man, I swear I want to do something else with my life, but this is all I can do right now. Aggression, We wish you luck, buddy. I've been there. Now, the other...
won't be in your games anymore. So
exactly. It won't be in your game, so enjoy a bit of the respite. We don't know how long that will last, but aggression temporarily removed. Let's talk about the healing items. There have been a couple of adjustments. The healing tree one specifically that a lot of people have kind of said, let's revamp that. Let's see what we can do. No new items coming through, but we are seeing some credit adjustments to the value of some of those items, maybe to make them a little bit more enticing to players. Life Rip being one of them, going down from 400 to 300 credits.
Yeah, so now it's kind of more along the lines of where a lot of those other cards, those items were. And that I like to see those adjustments made a little bit more, I think, than just changes to the items. But like a cost reduction is a good way to buffer nerf, because a lot of the cards in terms of their effects are in a good spot, but just making them more accessible, getting them online earlier, I think is a really good way to adjust that. And Life Rip, it was kind of in contention with Kill to Heal because healing across the board is sort of a luxury in a lot of cases. And because these two were so close in terms of what they did for you, Kill to Heal and Life Rip being very solid options. Life Rip wasn't worth that extra 100 credits, and it does scale, so it goes from 400 to 800 instead of 300 to 600. So Life Rip across the board going to be more affordable and more viable as an option.
Yeah, and else as well, Rejuvenate. This is an interesting one. This is going now from 300 to 200 credits. Now the price of Resilience, and we've already seen Rejuvenate picked up a little bit, Nick.
Yeah, here and there.
I wonder if this is really going to change this card.
This could help it, right? Because probably going to be picked up on a lot of frontliners who are the victims of Cauterize oftentimes. And Rejuvenate was almost in that spot. Well, I'm going to say almost in the spot of Aggression was, where it's to counter Cauterize, but it wasn't doing its job quite cost effectively. Similar to Aggression. It wasn't as bad as Aggression, but now it will be even more so the case. So it's cheaper than Cauterize, still won't be as effective in terms of its intensity, but it's easier to pick it up and get it online and just keep that healing coming in.
Awesome. Well, changes to the items. That's going to be it for now. Aggression temporarily removed. I don't know why I can't say that word today. And then we've got Rejuvenate and Life Rip both getting some cost reductions, maybe allowing them to be more efficient pickups in your games. Definitely experiment with those items. Let us know what you think about that in the Paladins game economy. And moving on to Champion Balance, which I'm sure all of you are very interested in, we are seeing some positive adjustments for Bomb King. Bomb King will be getting, well, you can actually walk us through this, but the stats read he's going to increase his minimum damage from worst case explosion fall off from 15 to 30% max damage, and he's also increasing the explosion radius from 9 to 10 units. Walk us through that and what that means.
So right now, blasters almost feel like you still had to hit direct, right?
Sure.
Where they're very impactful when you're hitting those direct impacts. With Eevee, Drogoz, Bomb King, they're hitting from 9 to almost 1,100 in some cases. But when you're hitting on the edge, those edge cases were really just lackluster in terms of, in the hundreds or maybe 200s.
Pitiful.
What this is going to do is we tested it. It took his outer radius Bomb King was at, I believe, 136.
Yep.
This takes it to 272. So this puts him in a good spot where you don't have to hit those direct impacts, and even at the edge case, even if you're the worst Bomb King player, it's still going to have that impact. And another thing that this does is the top end will stay the same. So Bomb King still will hit that, that 900 depending on, where you're at, where their damage mitigations are at. But in between, so the closer hits, not the edge cases, but things in between the edge case and direct impacts will also hit harder. And just having Bomb King's explosion be bigger overall means that he's going to be putting out more consistent damage. That's easier to hit.
Yeah, and really having a little bit more of the AoE effect as Bomb King.
Because it feels bad to, he's a blaster, right? There's this explosion that happens, and that they're in the explosion, but they're only taking 250 damage. And you're just like,
right?
That's not what I wanted. I wanted that 900.
I wasn't going for that. I was going for killing them, not tickling them. Right? You're not fond of tickling as well.
No, I'm super ticklish.
Nick, man, we have people run up and just tickle Nick all day. It's not. I don't do it, but people actually come into our office and tickle Nick because he is that ticklish, man.
Looking at you, Dustin.
Looking at you. Dustin Manos. Now, moving on from Bomb King, Cassie, huge. I'm just kidding. She doesn't really have any changes, but we are updating. I wonder how many people I just tilted right there.
Dude.
Updating the description to indicate that now she has increased, she has CC immunity during her ultimate. So she's always had it, but now just updating the tooltip so players can jump into the game and realize that she's CC immune while she's ulting.
Yeah, a lot of times Cassie ultimate is used during the start of rounds to kind of scope out any cheeky flanks, but it's that's that. It comes up often. It's not that hard to
Very
charge
often.
Cassie's ultimate, and she's charging it throughout the round. And this kind of gives an alternate use to it when you're anticipating maybe a Bomb King ult or something that's coming in that's going to CC you. You can pop this preemptively for that. If you kind of know where everyone is, Scout, it loses a little bit of what it's designed to do. And with that CC, it just gives it another option to be viable mid-fight.
Moving on, we've got Grover. He's going to get a little bit of a quality of life adjustment. They fixed a bug where his ability was applying twice the usual amount of diminishing returns that is crippling throw. And so that's just going to be a little bit better for Grover players.
Yeah, so Grover, he has a lot of options for, when you get eliminations to reduce your cooldowns, just builds that increase cripple duration. So these sort of things will be impacted less and less. Because of this, you'll get DR'd, more than one crippling throw can come out in a fight realistically.
Yeah.
And this change will help those be more impactful. Those third crippling throws that come out.
He's also seeing a change to one of his cards called Pickup, where it fixed just a quick bug that was not correctly applying the intended values. So the intended values will now be applied. That's it for Grover. Moving on to Maldamba, the Snake Master.
Yes.
The Spitting Cobra.
It's time to cut the cheese, folks.
It is
It's time to cut the
to
cheese.
slice the Gouda. Maldamba will be having a bit of a, you call it diminishing returns, but essentially he is going to get locked out of stunning the
nerf to
same
Charles.
target within 3 seconds. So Maldamba will only be able to stun that target once. He's going to have to wait another 3 seconds before trying to cheese stun them again.
Yeah, so where this comes into play is you would see players pick up Snake Pit, which increases your reload speed on Maldamba, along with Deft Hands, which just additively adds to that. And you were able to stun lock, especially big targets like Ruckus. This was really impactful, stopping the windup. Other big tanks that were just easy to hit, and it's just frustrating, right? Hard CC in a shooter is always kind of frustrating to play against, and just putting a tank on their back over and over and over again. Now, this is good to cut that cheesy strategy, but where this won't have an impact is if you're not running any of that stuff, but you're still consistently hitting your stun, this won't impact you at all. If you're not running any reload speed, you're still going to just be hitting stuns consistently.
And I don't think that, really, when you look at Maldamba, I don't think his kit is intended to literally stun lock someone. I think it's meant to be a countermeasure. I think it's meant to assist with CC and keep someone there for a moment, kind of like Shaolin's Impaler arrow. Imagine if you could just impale someone into a wall, like 5 times in a row. There's no way you can survive that. Him getting picked up with Makoa, with all these other champions, with CC already, it was very strong for him. And so now, if he's stunning multiple targets, he's still going to be helping the fight. He's just not going to be able to combo off Makoa and keep that target stunned until they kill him. Right.
Yeah, so you will now have that kind of small window to move. And another good thing I think is going to come out of this is players are going to be focused on that less. The cheesers won't be just stunning people the whole time. They'll have to do other things like maybe heal the team.
No.
Maybe land good Dread Serpents.
Not yet.
Good stuff.
One day.
All good things for Maldamba.
One day, my friend. Healing? Come on.
Yeah, I should slow my roll. You're right.
We have 11 damage champions. We don't have 4 supports and 7. All right, Pip. He saw the chicken. He saw the chicken turn into the rooster in honor of Chinese New Year. He's also getting a celebratory bonus gift, and that is some extra damage, just like Bomb King on his worst case damage. So that's going from 15 to 35% for him.
Yeah. So a big, kind of the same, discussion around Bomb King. A lot of times you'd be hitting people with that explosion, but it just really didn't feel impactful. It feels bad to hit somebody for a little over 100 damage. So now just kind of the same thing. He'll be able to apply more consistent damage on the outer parts of his explosion.
I like that. I don't mind that. Pip's pretty strong. This could definitely help encourage more Pip players as well.
And it's more blasters as well, because there are so few sources of blast damage in the game right now, and making those more viable is definitely a step in the right direction.
Obviously, we have a lot of changes this patch. Still a few more to go, and I'm always excited about changes, always interested in the shifts. Tyra, she has got a buff before. Now she's getting another,
little nudge.
A little nudge. It's a bit of a change to her auto rifle. Let's talk about what this is. Break it down for me. She's going to see increased minimum accuracy, bumped up from 85% to 89%. So that's not huge, about 4%. Obviously, those percentages often matter more than we think. And then she's also seeing increased accuracy lost per shot from 2.8 to 3%. So it seems like maybe one's pushing her this way, one's saying, okay, because you're getting that, you're going to fall off a little harder. What is that really doing?
So at the top end, right, with the higher, accuracy, she'll retain that 89% now. So at most her bloom isn't going to be as much, but it will get there slightly quicker, and it'll help her long range fall off as well, just being able to be effective at a little bit longer of a range.
So hopefully Tyra players will see a nice burst in damage from her and a nice little quality of life adjustment.
Yeah.
I think that's a good route to go.
There was a lot you could do. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 shots where the bloom would start, and there's a lot of like micro you can do where you're bursting the rifle. You just have to do, I think, a little bit less of that. You have to worry about that because I go in the training room and I'll practice that sort of thing, but when
you
push
play
comes to
it,
shove, when
you
it's a
don't do
fight,
that.
I'm just like pedal to the metal, hold left click, and just hope for the best.
I know, right? Please kill this person. And if it doesn't work, you're just out of luck, man. Well, another person who thrives off of constant and high DPS values, Viktor, he is actually seeing a bit of a budge, a nudge in, I think, a positive direction here. He's seeing that adjustment to his ultimate barrage. Now, barrage is actually going to have reduced time for when it takes to strike. So usually it takes 1 second for him to call the barrage and it to land on the ground. It's now going to be landing on the ground a little bit faster, 0.75 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. So this was it's a strong ultimate, right? But it, like all the blast sources of damage, it has that fall off where the outer edges of that circle are only around 700. And so a lot of times you would have to see this have setup. A lot of times Ice Storm would be the nice complement to make sure you're getting those big, impactful 1500 barrage damage. Now, you don't need the setup. It might not land directly in the middle, but with setup, you're going to guaranteed get that big blast impactful. They're going to come down quicker. And like I said, the big thing here, I think, is he won't need the setup to be as impactful with that ultimate.
Yeah, we haven't seen him, I think, leave competitive, but we have seen a slight, kind of shift away from Viktor and towards some of the other Haven direct damage dealers like Cassie and Shaolin. We've definitely seen that come into play. So maybe Viktor will be brought up a little more. He didn't disappear, but he just definitely wasn't favored. This could make a big impact on those team fights. But now that we're done with balance, thank you, Nick. Again, it's been fantastic having you, my friend.
I will
my
now
friend!
sit here quietly.
We are now back, and Thomas Holt has transformed once again into, I don't know how he does it every time.
We keep asking for Alyssa.
Even better. Even better
We
than
need
last time.
Alyssa.
I know.
The magic of art.
But she's here.
She's here.
The art.
It's a skin. It's a Thomas skin.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Thomas is a playable character, and he's got an Alyssa skin.
The Alyssa skin's
Make it
exclusive, though.
happen.
No one can get it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
You had to be like an open
Limited.
beta, like a closed
Limited.
beta.
Yeah,
That's a
player.
limited skin.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Well, Alyssa, how you doing? Welcome.
Pretty good. Thank you.
Pretty good? Just
Yeah.
pretty good?
Yeah, very good.
Not great?
Yeah, great.
You know what is great?
Amazing.
What is great?
Now that we're back, we didn't get to show this before when we were looking at Torvald, but we actually, production guys were able to pull it up where the shield drain part of his
I
kit
love
is
it.
there.
Let's take a look at it.
So if you look at the shield here, so again, right-clicking there, you'll see that he drains real fast and does damage to his shield, so chunks it pretty hard. And then, so basically, if he's looking away and he right-clicks, he'll have this really kind of just generic, it takes about 3 recharges to get his shield fully health. So we kind of take some damage there and drop down on the shield. Very slow there, but if you're able to look at a target who has a shield deployed or has a shield on them, he can just suck that away, which actually, Torvald is very good at killing Torvald.
He is excellent at it.
Because he can steal Torvald's shield and give it to Torvald.
But then Torvald can silence him and steal it right back.
But when Torvald's channeling this, Torvald can silence Torvald and prevent Torvald from getting Torvald's shield.
But if Torvald silences Torvald before he can silence him back and uses his ultimate to push Torvald away, he won't be in range.
The
to
last
actually steal the
Torvald
shield.
wins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last Torvald standing.
So you pick Torvald against Torvald.
There's a lot of There's a lot of...
On a serious note, one thing that this does, he is literally a one-man wrecking crew, where having Torvald on your team creates a lot of space to where your team now doesn't have to pick up Wrecker because you are so effective at dealing with those shields, so they have room to pick up things like Deft Hands, maybe Aggression when that comes back one day, or even Cauterize.
The other interesting aspect, too, just to mention that those interested in it, is that Wrecker is pretty needed to fight against Torvald as well. So the itemization choice is, do I go Cauterize? Do I go Wrecker? Do I go Bulldozer? If you have a Torvald kind of built lineup, you're definitely going to probably side towards Wrecker. Otherwise, it's going to be a pain bursting down that shield.
You're going to have a bad time.
Yeah,
On that note, what's interesting, too, is when you look at Torvald, his natural health pool is actually a little bit lower. It's
very
more towards
low.
the barrack side.
Yeah.
But because he has this kind of permanent shield on him all the time, he's very tanky. And so actually what you'll see with Torvald, which you don't see much with the other tanks, is that he makes a huge impact early game, right? very difficult to deal with. Wrecker isn't online yet. You have a lot of great ways to deal with him, so he really needs to pick that up. But once Wrecker is online, you're consistently getting rid of his shield.
Yep.
His health pool is relatively low. He has no movement ability, so he can't really get out of the fight. He's all about control and helping teammates out, but when he's stuck, he tends to get stuck. So he can be countered in a lot of ways. And so a lot of times, we hope that we'll see teams kind of pick up Torvald to protect characters like Tyra, which have trouble fitting in the meta right now, right? It's hard to get Tyra into the game because she's so vulnerable. Torvald can protect her, but then as the game goes longer and longer, he won't be as effective as, say, like a Makoa would.
Exactly. And Wrecker and distance really are the themes for me. If you can outdistance him, those champions that have those inherent moves to get away, it's going to be difficult for Torvald to hunt you down and finish you off. But for those that can't, it's going to be a rough day.
My favorite one-on-one is Cassie versus Torvald.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
because Torvald gets up on Cassie and just starts doing, she just goes, knocks him back and just looks at him. He's like, come back! Like Frankenstein's monster, just like, ah!
And if he makes it, she just dodge rolls behind. Yeah, it's not good.
And she just toys with him.
Yeah,
it's funny.
That's what I love. I love that we're increasing the diversity in the
grandpa
countering.
chasing the kids around the park.
Come back here!
You get back here, you dang kids!
God, flap it.
Had to get some old man stuff in there.
Schnibbity schnapp. What an old schnibbity schnapp schnapp. That's what I came up with, an old person saying. We've got more stuff coming out, and that is an introduction to an entirely new thing. You may have seen it if you play Smite, and you may have understood kind of how this works in other games, but for Paladins, this is absolutely new. We'll be introducing a brand new PvE experience. So you'll be able to play, and well, you know what? I think this says enough. It's going to be a great experience, just like that. Driver, elaborate. You know, this is going to be fun.
So this is our first kind of pass at PvE. It will be a queue mode available in the casual area. You can queue for it by itself. You can't multi-queue for it.
Okay.
This will be for 5 players on a team. So you're picking, you get a bunch of friends together, and you're going up against a.
Puts the God mode.
God
you
mode.
have to. So what's really exciting about this, and what's really interesting too, is these basically are very, very difficult PvE encounters of 5 or 4-man teams you're going up against. These are all bots, but they have significant advantages on you. So this one is actually called Tortoise Power. There is 4 turtles on the enemy team and 1 pip. So if you actually go to the scoreboard real quick and look at their names, and then you'll kind of figure out where it is they're coming from. They're very kind of spit there. So you'll start the match with a lot of credits. You have to pick a 5-man team, and you're up against, you're basically at a loss, right? You are at a disadvantage. The bots have a very significant advantage on you, and you have to figure out some kind of strategy between you and your friends to overcome the difficulties. You'll see that there's only 2 points required. These are played on a capture-only mode, so no payload. So basically, you have to beat the bots in a capture point twice. You can see that, you know, Master Pipter, Macanardo, Macalangelo, Macatello, and Mikhail are all coming together to face you. Now, each one of these Makoas have a different specialty, right? So one has a really low cooldown on a hook, and it goes really far. One has a really fat shield, and it has a really low cooldown. One has a shell spin that applies a disengage level knockback, and he has a low cooldown on it. So they're kind of very disruptive, very crazy, very all over the place, and very, very tanky. They all have increased health. And so the trick here is, and they all stick together, they're very smart, very aggressive, and so without God mode here, you can see look at the cooldown on that hook. He's just being knocked around and smashed. So, you know, there are strategies you can put into it. You can get Pip ultimates are very powerful, Drogo's ultimates are very powerful. You'll need good heals and good front lines and work together. But what's exciting about this, and one of the reasons, you know, the team is very excited about implementing this into Paladins, is you have to use new loadouts in different ways you could never use in PvP. You have to use new items that you couldn't use in PvP, right? Look at the knockback on that hit. So when you get in here, we expect players to lose a lot in the very beginning. All these matches give full rewards. So if you play this, you'll be able to get gold and experience and mastery progression there. So the bots end up winning there. But you need to implement very interesting strategies, different ways to beat this. Starting out, we're going to be limited here. So there's Macatello with his this is probably the knockback. These are the bots here. But the cool thing about this is we're probably going to be swapping this once a week. So we'll have Tortoise Power available for the first week next week when OB42 goes live. And then every week after that, we'll swap something out and kind of swatch things out. We have one that is all super tanks. We have one where there's a whole bunch of Victors and Tyras, and they have crazy accuracy and damage and stuff like that.
Wow.
But it's a different way to play Paladins, a nice way to let off steam. And each one has its own kind of solution and strategy that you build when you play it. So it's just a different way to kind of play the game.
Yeah. And it is super difficult, but you're playing for rewards. So, I mean,
Yes.
there's some incentive there.
They're mostly hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
I think the incentive too is just challenge as well. I mean, sometimes you just want to know, hey, okay, I did it.
Yeah.
I've played this. It's not easy, and it can be frustrating. But just very similar to Jingchen's Mountain, you kind of want to just keep going back at it. All right, I'm gonna get it this time. I'm gonna get it this
What
time.
strategy can we use this time?
Yeah.
Right? All right, you pick Bulldozer, I'll get Wrecker, you get
Mm-hmm.
Cauterize, I'm going to play Barrack and sit in the front line, and you're strategizing almost like it's a boss encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. And so moving on to what I think is one of the better topics and sections of this patch notes, kind of wrapping things up, we've got community questions. Get to hear what you all are asking us, and of course, none other than hi-rez Holt transformed into Alyssa is going to bring that to us.
Yeah, we reach out every patch preview to see what the questions are in the community, and I've got a few of those today. So the first question we have are, any plans to roll out a new patch for console users?
We are actively working on a console patch right now. We mentioned a little bit on our Q&A earlier this week, Evan, but we're in cert process right now with Sony and Microsoft to kind of get that pushed out. So we'll have more information going there. Again, to reiterate, we have a lot of respect for the high standards that Sony and Microsoft hold for their platforms. Usually they go for a long cert process of making sure that the things that we're putting onto their platforms are stable and good. So we want to make sure that we're lining through that. So that process right now, but console has some good stuff coming.
Awesome. Okay, next question. Can we look forward to seeing any unique sprays, like graffiti-styled pictures or phrases?
We are working on some cool sprays. The Army Man Viktor collection has some new ones coming along. And obviously, sky's the limit, pun intended, with sprays there. So the art team has a lot of really awesome ideas for that.
All right. How do you respond to people saying that the proposed Season 1 changes are pay to win?
So the Season 1 changes, we're still going through the iteration. And one thing that I want to kind of reiterate is, for us as hi-rez, the reason why we came out and talked about it early on is we want to kind of get feedback, get the vibe, and get you guys involved in the development process to make sure that the things we're putting out are, make the game fun for us, but also make the game fun for you as the player. So we are still kind of going through discussions on how to work on the card system and the talent system, those kind of things. You guys haven't had a chance to hear those yet. We'll be talking more about that next week. But the big thing there is making sure that there's no way to with money, purchase the things in the game. It's all based on progression and unlocks, and it's part of ways to enhance the way you play your character, but also ways to kind of spend that hard-earned currency with gold or various other systems in the game. And it feels like it's part of making Paladins more enriched for you, not directly just putting the cash in.
Right. All right. Some people didn't understand the percentage upgrades in Season 1. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So there's some posts put out right now. There's a couple videos out as well talking about that. The idea was that we wanted to have a way to make Radiant chests more meaningful, make the drops there more meaningful, and also give you ways to kind of progress and upgrade your loadouts and the way you're building them. So the idea we had was around kind of the flat stats and upgrades there. We're actually working on a new idea right now around having loadouts become even more interesting and focusing more on the Radiant chests. And again, I got to give a very sincere thank you to the community out there for kind of giving your feedback constantly, getting active and involved. The whole team is constantly reading all the posts you guys are making, all the different discussions on the boards you're having, and the different ideas you guys are raising around gold sinks and making Radiant chests more powerful and meaningful. And we're taking all that into account and working on some new proposals that we can talk about and continue the discussion there. At the end of the day, we're a family together. Yeah, we make games for both of us. Make sure you guys are enjoying it and having fun with Paladins every day. Yeah. And then we'll always be kind of working with you. And if something doesn't work, we either don't do it or we don't keep it in there for long. But we want to make sure that we're kind of getting that on there.
Dang. It's a good inauguration day speech right there.
It is. Welcome.
We're gonna make gold great
Make
again.
Paladins great again.
Gold great again.
That's right.
All right. Are there any season rewards planned for each season of Paladins?
We will have Season 1 rewards. Obviously, it's not started yet, so we won't have anything there. And we are working on ways to enhance the ranked system to make that more interesting and have more regular updates. Obviously, with so many things we're working on right now, we want to make sure that we're getting new champions out to make sure there's enough champions to pick from, and also making enhancements, quality of life, and bug fixes, stuff like that. But it's definitely all in the works.
All right. That's all I got.
Fantastic. Well, Dry Bear, there's a lot of stuff in OB42. When can I get my hands on it in PTS?
Is that something you like? Would you like that?
I would love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll play that.
Yeah.
The team is working hard to get that going actually right now while we're sitting here talking heads and stuff like that. We're hoping to have something out this weekend. Stay tuned for updates on social media, a couple other things. You'll see kind of that information there. So we'll hope to have it out this weekend. If not, we'll kind of at the start of the week next week, and then OB42 we're aiming at next week for launch.
Cool. Excellent. OB42 coming out to PTS hopefully this weekend, if not next week. And, of course, the patch will go live next week as well. Make sure to stay tuned to all the channels and follow us on Paladins Everything so you never miss a beat and know exactly when you can play the new champ, Torvald. That's going to be it for us today. My name is Randy. hi-rez Pretty here. Rory, Alyssa, thank you guys so much for joining us. And as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and we'll see you all in the realm.